Hello again. Now we are going to talk about how, now that you've read some sources, now that you've annotated some sources, now you need to start looking at what information do you have? What are you kind of missing? How can you organize the ideas that are coming out of the research? Because a lot of you are reading articles that are pretty heavy. There's a lot of information. Some of you have read like 10 sources. And so you are going to want to start organizing the information that you're gathering from these sources. And that's the process that we call digital note cards. If you've ever written a research paper where you use note cards, welcome to the year 2020, where that is completely unnecessary and pretty difficult to manage sometimes. I know that when I was in school, some teachers required note cards, and it was always hard. Like for a research paper of this size, we would have like 50 note cards, and we'd have to keep them all together because on each one of those note cards you typically had the name of the source, and then you'd have one piece of information, and then you'd organize all of these source cards like, oh, all of my sources about this topic are here, all of my pieces of information about another topic are right here. It was hard to keep all of the note cards together. So digital note cards is a process that was shared with me when I was in college to help manage my papers. Because when you go to post-secondary, when you're in post-secondary schooling, you're going to end up writing multiple papers at a time. And I'm not just saying that because I was an English major. I actually wrote more papers in my other classes than I did in my English degree. My husband did the same thing with his economics degree. So you're going to have multiple papers, and so you can't just hammer them out in one night. These digital note cards will keep your ideas organized efficiently and effectively. So I forget what page it is in your packet. I'll get it in there some other time. But there's a page in your packet, and on the top it says digital source cards helping you organize and find your thoughts. So that's a huge component to this, is that it's like a baby outline where you're organizing your thoughts, and sometimes you might even discover there are thoughts that you didn't even realize. So this replaces what are the source card or note cards technique that I told you about, or that I rambled on about for you. So this is a way for you to be able to always access your information regardless of what platform you're using. Digital note cards are, as long as you've got a piece of technology, you can access your digital note cards. So it says the Microsoft Word document, obviously. No, like Google Doc, and then we'll just get rid of that. Yeah, that's what it is. So you're going to create a brand new Google Doc, all right? So in the that's a library card number. You don't want that. So I'm going to create my own Google Doc for you. So this is brand new. It shouldn't be there shouldn't be other stuff on it. Now, oh my goodness, has Google been slow for anybody else? Like, it could be because millions of people are using it at the same time. I don't know. Also, I've taken up a terrible habit of drinking coffee. I really never drank coffee before this. All right, so I'm creating a new blank Google Doc. So, while it does that, let's take a look at the further instructions. So the first thing you got to do before you even create this document, or okay, first of all, create the document, but before you actually start doing anything with the document, you need to read and annotate so that you get the ideas of what your topics will cover. and don't worry about the outline. In fact, like we're going to create an outline in a little bit, but this is like a baby version of your outline. But ultimately, you want to read and annotate multiple sources so that you start to get an idea of like what general topics you will probably want to address in your paper. So, for example, if I'm doing the panda bear habitat topic, there's a lot of stuff that came up about hunting laws. There was like 4 or 5 articles that I read that at least referenced hunting laws, and I wasn't expecting that to be a topic. But since it came up over and over and over again, that might be a topic that I'm going to address. Okay. So I'm going to gather the general topics that I feel like I should address in my, or at least that that my research covers. So these are topics that come up habitually in my research. So I'm going to open up a new document. And the title of it should be Digital Notecards Appalachian Research Paper. Will you please not title it something? And I've seen the titles of your papers. Do you know that? Like I can see the title of your papers when you hand them in to me. So just be aware of that. So we're going to create, come on. Digital Notecards Appalachian Research Paper. All right, so got that set up. So, and yeah, I know it's 2 words here, it's 1 word on the other one. Shut up. Okay, so before you start recording the information for a source, type the name of the general section you're going to be gathering on. So what that means is after you've read the sources, what are the topics that keep coming up? And you want to write those topics down first. So for example, here it says, I'm writing about man's influence and the depletion of panda bear habitat. So perhaps like I'm going to have a lot of my papers or a lot of my articles talk about natural habitat. All right. So that's going to be a section, right? So that's something that came up a whole lot. So I'm going to underline that, natural habitat. Come on now. Google A. There we go. Whatever. I wanted it that way. Then I saw other ones, like as I continued to do research, I also saw like hunting laws and natural stressors. So I've got hunting laws. Nope. What is up with my capital A's? Hunting laws, natural stressors. So like these are all topics that I saw showing up in a lot of my articles. Right? So it's not typically one article that I see this coming up in. These are multiple general topics that seem to be relevant to my area of study right now. So I've got that. And then now I should start putting the information that I have found from the sources. So anything from a source that I have that has to do with natural habitat, I should find those sources and put them in underneath that heading. So natural habitat. So I found a source. See, so I'm going to put the quote in here that says, there's a quote that I found in one of my articles. Panda bears, giant panda bears once inhabited most of what is considered China today. Now, the size has decreased. I know that doesn't make sense. I'm just making something up. All right. So I found a piece of, like, that was something I found in one article, but then in another article, it actually told me what the square footage or the square miles. So they once inhabited an area of 2,000 square miles pre-1800s, and then I'm summarizing here. Now it's only down to 1,500 square miles as of 2000. 15. So that's just a summary of the research that I found. So anything that has to do with natural habitat, I'm going to put that underneath the natural habitat, right? So then anything that I find about hunting laws, that I would say, like an article had something to do with China has loosened the local hunting laws concerning pandas after they became a nuisance for farmers. Okay, so anything that has to do with hunting laws, maybe when they were created, why they were created, what is the controversy about hunting laws, like anything pertaining to that topic in my articles, I'm going to type material there. Doesn't always have to be a direct quote. It could be a summary. It does not matter, and that's okay. So any piece of information. Just make sure, as it says here, you should have some type of like system. And what I mean by that is like, are all of your quotes, direct quotes, are they highlighted in yellow? Like that might be a good idea, just so I know, like, oh, hey, I just found this, like that to me, just by looking at this, I know how many direct quotes that I have. So I've highlighted that in yellow. Perhaps then anytime I do a summary, I am going to put that highlighted in green maybe. Right? So I am identifying just by looking at my sources, like I can tell like, oh, I've got a piece of summary and I've got 2 pieces of quote here. So again, just have some type of system there. You also want to make sure that you have that you at least know where this information is coming from. Because right now, just by looking at the source, I know, or just by looking at my note cards, I know that this is a direct quote and this is a direct quote, but I don't know where it's from. So you want to have some type of citation, and it would be a good idea for you to start practicing the correct citations, like a parenthetical citation. So what that means is that like, oh, this article was by Zhang and Deng. Those are their last names. This one was by Bernard. This one is actually also by Bernard. So Bernard. So at least now that so just by looking at my digital source cards, I can see, look at how many quotes I have, look how much summary I have, and where are these articles from. Okay, so being able to identify where is your information coming from. And underneath each topic, you should have like 5 to 10 items listed underneath them. So what that means is that for under natural habitat, for it to be a worthwhile topic, you should have at least 5 elements underneath there. I mean, some of you are going to have elements of like 15 or 20, and that's okay, but you need to have a minimum of 5. And to take a look, here's another example of like different, like here's just the general panda bear population, anything that has to do with just a general idea about panda bears. I've also found information concerning conservation efforts and hunting laws. So like when you look, this should be what it looks like. And so when I say what it looks like, I mean that it should be easily identifiable. Where's your information coming from, and is it a quote or is it a summary? So that would be incredibly helpful for you. So why is Ms. Hain making you do this? This seems like extra work. That's really stupid. Well, shut up. You're doing it anyways. One thing that's really nice about this is that you can search your note cards. Like you can actually Control F and type in whatever you need to find. So like if I'm like, oh, where is the stuff that I have to do about like population? So anything that specifically says about population, well, okay, it's the only one that's up there. Okay, so I've only found it once here. Or perhaps I want anything that has to do with China in particular. Let's see how many times. Oh, look, I found China 6 different times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's got to be somewhere else. Oh, 6 right there. And I know I'm doing this on Microsoft Word, but the same thing happens over here. So for like, so again, if I want to search China, I have Control F. and it tells me that it's happened twice, and it highlights for me anytime that China comes up. So it's important to be able to search this so that you can easily find information that you want to utilize. The other reason is that, like, when you start putting together your digital note cards, you're starting to actually write your paper. You're organizing your idea. Like, if you haven't noticed yet, this is like a mini outline. So you're looking at your information and you're starting to develop your main categories. So like all the information that I have under natural habitat, I will probably turn that into a main category in my outline. So it's important for you to start organizing your ideas so that you will develop your paper as you do your research. I have written papers in college with this process and without this process. And let me tell you, more tears were shed not using this process than with using it. I didn't say that you weren't going to cry doing this research paper. You will. Okay, you will. And that's normal. But if you don't want to cry too much, you would use these digital note cards. And it does say here that I'm going to check the digital note cards twice throughout your process. That is true. Okay. Now, typically what would happen is if we were together, I'd have you print them out or show me your digital note cards. But there is going to be a time where I have you share with me those digital note cards, and then I will just randomly peek in at your document. So, and it says like homework grade of 20 points. Yeah, considering this distance learning, I'm not sure what's going to happen. So they will be worth points because what it is it's showing me, it's documenting for me, it's evidence to prove that you're actually doing the research paper process. So it is an expectation for you to do the digital note cards, and I will be peeking in on them. These digital note cards are going to be due within the next week. The deadline will be listed, but this is going to be a helpful process for you. It also allows you to like pick up your research at any point in time and then put it down. So like all you need to do is say like, okay, I've done as much as I can right now. It's all right here. And like rather than like lay everything out and find your note cards and reorganize them, all of your stuff is on that piece of paper. And so this is an effort to keep you organized and to keep your information clear to you. Okay. Again, hope you're going outside, and I hope that you are taking care of yourself. So, miss you.